In the quiet corner of her bedroom, lit only by the soft glow of her laptop, 16-year-old Ariana thought she had finally found someone who understood her. They talked every night, about life, about fears, about dreams she'd never shared with anyone else. His name was Chris. He was sweet, funny, safe, until he wasn't, because Chris never existed. And yet, somehow, he sent her flowers to her doorstep on her birthday. Flowers she never told him she liked. A note in her handwriting. To Ariana, I'm closer than you think. Her parents thought it was a prank. But Ariana knew something was very, very wrong. And 2 days later she vanished. The investigation started with her laptop. Detectives found the chat logs, thousands of messages. At first glance, Chris seemed like a regular teenager. Same slang, same emojis, same late night, good mornings. But as they dug deeper, they noticed something off. He never used video, never slipped up, never talked about himself. His location, always somewhere near. His photos, all pulled from a real teenager's Instagram, someone who had no idea he was being impersonated. And then came the worst part. Chris wasn't alone. The IP trace, it led to a burner phone. One used in 3 other missing teen cases across different states. Same pattern, same sweet words, same slow grooming. Whoever was behind the screen was smart, careful, but not perfect. Because he left behind one clue Ariana's parents almost threw away. A piece of packaging from the flowers, with a tiny tracking sticker, and a partial fingerprint. When forensic teams scanned the packaging slip, they found something they didn't expect. The flower delivery service had no record of an order under Ariana's name or her address. But the label wasn't handwritten. It was machine printed from a high-end label maker often used by corporate warehouses. So how did this mystery sender know where she lived? The sticker had a barcode, partially scratched. They ran it through a national logistics database and bingo. It had been scanned once in Delaware, 4 days before Ariana's disappearance. But Ariana had never been to Delaware. The partial fingerprint, it matched one found on a missing persons phone case from Connecticut, another teenage girl who vanished a year ago. Suddenly, the local police weren't just investigating a runaway or a creep. They were looking at a multi-state predator who had mastered the art of invisibility but left behind just enough to be tracked. And they were running out of time. Because another teenager from Pennsylvania had just gone missing. Same chat pattern, same boyfriend, same silence. The FBI stepped in. The breadcrumbs were few but enough. They linked all 3 missing teens to the same online handle. Jack's 13 inches, a faceless profile that never video called, never used voice notes, and always messaged late at night. The account vanished right after each girl disappeared. Investigators traced the IP address, but it wasn't real. It had been masked through a layered VPN chain, bouncing through servers in Iceland, Argentina, and finally a public library in New Jersey. But there was a mistake. At 2:17 a.m. on a rainy Thursday, someone logged into Jack's 13 without the VPN active. Just for 15 seconds. That slip exposed a location, a quiet suburb outside Trenton. FBI agents descended on the house tied to that IP. But inside, nothing. No sign of Ariana, no electronics, just a few discarded food wrappers and a bedroll. The house had been rented under a fake name, and vacated 48 hours earlier. Whoever they were chasing, they were always 2 steps ahead. But then, a break. A truck stop surveillance camera 40 miles away picked up a man in a black hoodie and a girl who looked exactly like Ariana walking into a diner. The timestamp, 6 hours ago. The diner security footage was grainy, but unmistakable. The girl, pale, thin, wearing a hoodie far too large for her frame, looked up at the cashier. A tired smile. Then her eyes flicked toward the camera. It was Ariana. Next to her was a man mid-30s, unshaven, wearing a baseball cap low over his face. He never looked up. They sat in the far booth. No talking. He ordered pancakes. She barely touched her food. But then came the chilling moment. As they got up to leave, Ariana walked a few steps behind him, and in a blink, she dropped something. A sugar packet. Why would that matter? Because when agents arrived, the manager handed it over. Scrawled in shaky pen was, "Help me. I'm Ariana. I'm not safe." The sugar packet changed everything. FBI agents now had two things: a cry for help and a rough location. They cross-checked diner receipts with traffic cams. Only one car left that lot at the time the footage showed. A rusted green Chevrolet Impala with no plates. They ran facial recognition on the man beside Ariana. Nothing. No matches in any national database. No criminal record. No ID. No trace. Like a ghost, he simply didn't exist. Agents widened the search radius. They called in missing persons units from 3 states. Could this man have taken other girls too? Then, a strange tip came in. A gas station clerk, 2 towns over, recognized the photo. He said Ariana and the man had stopped by late one night. The girl tried to speak to him, but the man interrupted, gave him cash, and told him to mind his business. The girl's hands were shaking. She left behind a receipt and scribbled on the back of it, "Please don't let him take me back." The note on the back of the receipt was a cry from the depths of fear. And it gave investigators their next breadcrumb. A timestamp, a location, and a direction of travel. Agents pulled nearby surveillance, and there it was again. The same green Chevrolet Impala. This time driving west along Route 14, toward a stretch of forest known more for campers and ghost stories than for federal investigations. The area had spotty reception. No streetlights, just long stretches of silence and pine. They called in helicopters, dogs, and drones. One by one, cabins were checked. Most were abandoned, some rented by seasonal hunters. But deep in the woods, they found one with fresh tire marks. The door was padlocked from the outside. The windows were covered in black trash bags. A terrible smell drifted from inside. An agent kicked the door open. The room was dark, cold, and quiet. On the wall, names were scratched into the paint. 6 of them. Some had dates beside them. Others, just initials. And in the corner, huddled beneath a stained blanket, Ariana. She was alive. Ariana was barely conscious. Her eyes darted around the room like a frightened animal. It took 3 minutes before she whispered a word. "He's not alone." Those 3 words changed everything. The man they arrested days earlier, the supposed mastermind, wasn't acting alone. He was just one part of something bigger. In her weak voice, Ariana described a network. Isolated cabins, burner phones, and a chilling routine of moving girls across state lines. Under false identities. Some had been missing for months. Others for years. And the worst part, she said she had seen one of the men in a police uniform. That sent chills through the entire room. Could law enforcement have been helping to cover this up? The FBI ramped up the investigation. They pulled years of unsolved missing persons reports, matching the initials carved into that cabin wall. 3 matches. 3 families who never had closure were now facing the possibility of horrifying truths. Ariana described one man in particular. Clean cut, always in sunglasses. Never used his real name but had a scar above his eyebrow. The FBI went back through mugshots, employee databases, even surveillance footage from bus stations. And finally, they found a match. A security contractor, former military, dishonorably discharged, who'd been stationed less than 10 miles from where another girl went missing in 2022. He was still out there. And he wasn't acting alone. The scar-faced man had a name now. Michael Trent. He wasn't in the system. Not officially. But a deeper search into military discharge records and shadowy contractor rosters confirmed it. The man Ariana described wasn't just real. He had a trail. And the trail led to another abandoned structure, just across the state border. This time, the FBI didn't go in quietly. They brought drones, thermal imaging, trained dogs. The scene was eerily familiar. A locked basement door, a mattress on the floor, chains bolted into the wall. But there was something else. Pinned to the wooden beam near the stairs. Photos. Dozens of them. Faces of young girls. some smiling in school portraits, others looking directly into the lens with tear-filled eyes. On the back of each photo, dates and locations. Some went back as far as 2015. This wasn't random. This was organized. What started as a single missing girl case had unraveled into a multi-state trafficking operation that had operated in silence for nearly a decade. And Michael Trent, still nowhere to be found. But one thing was clear. He wasn't running alone. There were more of them. And someone was still feeding the system from inside. Ariana's rescue was supposed to be the ending. But instead, it was just the beginning. With the discovery of the second cabin, the FBI launched a nationwide manhunt. New victims were identified, old missing persons cases were reopened, and in the shadows of the system, a disturbing pattern emerged. Names that had been redacted, locations tied to government contracts, missing girls who were never listed in any public database. Someone had been cleaning up. The deeper the investigators dug, the more it became clear. Michael Trent wasn't a one-man show. This was a network, one that had existed in plain sight. And somewhere, someone still had the master list. Ariana is now in protective custody. Her real name still hidden. Her story whispered only in hushed voices. But she remembers everything. The man, the walls, the chilling words he repeated every night. You're not the first. You won't be the last. Now here's the question. What would you do if you found out the person was funding a secret trafficking ring? Was a respected official in your town? Let us know in the comments. And if you think stories like this deserve to be heard, like, share, and subscribe. Because the truth has victims. But secrets have power.